I've just remembered I've not got any trousers on. You didn't need to know that, but just in case in the event I forget, I don't have any trousers on. I've got a long jumper on, but I've just thought, I'm going to get up and I'm going to shut that door and I'm just going to like walk across my pants. So.
Hello, and welcome to On the Irregular with me, Java Berry, a podcast where I chat to women from all walks of life about their own unique creative journey, how they got here, how their story has shaped their creative work, what they've learned, what has helped them, and where they plan to go from here. It's an irregular journey for so many of us, and I am delighted to offer a platform to share these fascinating stories and wells of wisdom. This week, I'm chatting to the creative powerhouse, Instagram influencer, kitchen dancer, style icon, the one and only Sophia Cook. Growing up, Sophia loved the performing arts, leading on to studying and later working in theatre and costume design. We cover her journey from working as a wardrobe mistress in London theatres to overseeing builds of new schools, with all the twists and turns in between. We talk about where she finds herself now, living and working in the stunning home that her and Cookie refurbished, also featuring in George Clarke's Old House New Home on Channel 4. We talk about the reality of having to choose jobs that pay the bills over pursuing your creative desires, the racism she has experienced in every single organisation she has worked for, her process of unpacking and unlearning the limiting words of others that she has carried with her, the life her and Cookie are building for themselves and the future of their children, having someone to lean on for the first time, and how she's still figuring out what it is she wants to be when she grows up, and of course, so much more. Welcome to episode 5 of season 2 with the glorious, vibrant, inimitable Sophia Cook. A gentle warning, this episode contains expletives. Wow, well, thank you so much for joining me. I know how busy you are, and I really, really, really appreciate that you'll give me an hour or so of your time just to tell me a bit more about your story. I mean, I know there's so much to tell Sophia.
I'm like, where do I start? Okay. So are you sitting comfortably?
So comfortably, all ears.
Many, many, many years ago, I am originally from home counties. I'm one of 4. And I was always really super creative. I was always singing. I was always dancing. And at primary school, I remember I wanted to be in a play. And a young girl called Emma, I won't give her the last name because you never know, Emma got the lead in the play called Trolls. And I was told that I was too loud and that perhaps I should draw the programme or be the costume designer. And that is quite significant because that, I guess, has stayed with me for quite some time. And so I did then go on to do like A-levels, studied A-level art history, but was always fond of music. I eventually left my hometown because, unfortunately and very sadly, my mum passed away when I was 22. But I had studied in Croydon doing theatre design, and again I chose that option because apparently I wasn't very textile design or fashion design, and I was told that my ideas weren't strong enough, but perhaps I could go to a multidiscipline thing, and that would be theatre. So it's quite funny because I was told probably about the age of 10 that I couldn't perform, to then being told perhaps I should go into costume design or design programs, to then later be told when I left my art foundation that I wasn't good enough to do fashion or textiles, but then went on to theatre. So mum died at 22 and I graduated, and I went into theatre. I was with the National Youth Theatre for 2 seasons, and it's one of those jobs that at the time didn't pay very well, and I got a job in a theatre. My goodness, I can't remember which theatre it was, but it's for a play a performance of Jerry Springer the Opera.
Oh, yes.
And it wasn't as a designer, it was as a wardrobe mistress. So basically like washing jock straps and shirts and whatnot. And I remember they wanted me to go in for a trial, and I've never seen the performance, but I remember, I think at the end of Act 1, there's a scene where there's like the whole chorus is dressed up in as Ku Klux Klan. And I took it as a sign that this wasn't for me, and ended up getting a job in a luxury store in Knightsbridge, selling furnishing fabrics. So yeah, I sold furnishing fabrics and wallpapers, and my love of William Morris grew from there. And I then left that company because it was just a really toxic, racist environment to work in, even though lots of my customers and clients were amazing. This particular store on Brompton Road was really awful, so I left. So I've gone quite far back.
Well, that's what I want. I'm like, it's all part of it, and it's fascinating.
I've gone quite far back. So and amongst all of that, so when I moved to London at 22, I was living with a friend, and I needed to make money and what have you. I did want to always pursue a creative route, but you come to town, the big lights of London, and it was pretty difficult to get a creative job because there was nothing to fall back on. My father at the time was still alive, but he'd moved back to Jamaica. My siblings had their family, so I had to very quickly learn to stand on my own 2 feet. And that was taking on a job that that had to pay. I couldn't take the luxury of doing a job that was unpaid.
Yeah, like an internship
because there wasn't a way of surviving.
Yeah.
I was living in a beautiful flat in Clapham Common, but it was a room off a kitchen, so essentially an illegal room, like a storage room. And I tried to do as much as I possibly could. But anyway, so I'd always worked as well whilst trying to pursue get my degree, and then after my mum died, wanting to stay and exist in London, I used to work in nightclubs. I used to work for a radio station, working on all their club nights, and so that's why music. Obviously on my page and my channel on Instagram, there was always lots of music. I've grown up in music. I've socialized in lots of music, and music really does help my creativity. So that kind of slots into my story today. So I'd left this massive store, and then I needed to get a proper job, which meant looking at spreadsheets all day and not having a real clue about what I was doing. But I managed to have a career managing buildings in the West End. So a bit like a facilities management role. So I'd learned a lot about buildings, and the buildings that I was managing were old buildings converted for the purpose of office spaces. So I had to learn a little bit about period features, what could be done in terms of the aesthetics, but also keeping in tune with the building, learning a bit about refurbishment works, aircon, whatever and however, and then also maintaining relationships with my clients. And the clients could have been doctors, lawyers, marketing people, new blue chip companies, whatever. It was a real mix, but we were considered high-end offices.
Right.
And so I was there for about 7 years in the West End, and I managed some really beautiful old buildings, and it wasn't really my calling. I knew it wasn't my calling, but again, I needed to exist in London, and I'd bought a flat, and the mortgage needs to be paid. So I remember somebody once asking if I wanted to help design some costumes for a party, and I just couldn't do it because really working around the clock managing 4 buildings, which was really stressful. And I just couldn't take it on. So I had to wave that opportunity to goodbye to continue in a job that I didn't particularly like doing, but paid the bills.
That's so frustrating, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's
reality.
It is the reality. And there was never that security net. There was never that something to fall back on. There was no one to call because, you know, I was pursuing this life, and there was no no one to call to help. And so I had to skip that job, and I continued working in this company. And you know, for all the years I gave this company, I had a really bad exit, because once again, there was a massive racist dispute with this organisation that I'd given 7 or 8 years to, and they basically ground me down until I just had to leave. I left on my own terms, and that was really, really disheartening, because there were a few opportunities that came up that were creative, which I batted away because I was with this particular company, and, you know, like I said, was paying the bills, but also I've had I was quite loyal to this company, and it was very disheartening, but it taught me a massive lesson. You know, do a job that you don't like, where there's no real guarantee that there's going to be security. Why not try and do something that you love to do? Because there's also some uncertainty there, because the fallout from this company actually took a bit of confidence away from me. And mentally, it left a really negative impression on me for some time. So I was doing a job that wasn't creative, that didn't really fulfill me in any way to pay the bills. I'd done it for nearly 8 years, and they pulled the rug under me and almost orchestrated a hate campaign against me. I was I was the only Black female manager across the company, and it just got really nasty very, very quickly. And again, I had no one to talk to, and left. Anyway, so that left there, and went off to Thailand to find myself for a bit, as you do, and then came back and was set up a serviced office for somebody in London Bridge, and all of a sudden changed directions again and took a permanent position with an engineering company as somebody to look after facilities management again. But, you know, I've got no technical background. I'm quite good in a boardroom. I'm quite good at talking and probably getting people to do things they don't normally want to do. So my boss spotted this and said, look, you know, perhaps you could be a project manager for an organisation, an institution for the government, and oversee the build of new buildings. And so that's what I did. So I went in and I project managed builds of new schools and refurbishments of schools, which was completely out of my comfort zone. I've got no technical background whatsoever, but I could manage a project. I'm very good at, well, I don't know if I still am now, but at the time, you know, monitoring things, having very difficult conversations with the local authority, with contractors, people paying me, not me, but, you know, making sure invoices were paid, or I was chasing things. And it worked out pretty well. I learned a lot about the process of refurbishment on a commercial scale, and learned a lot of the jargon when building, and, you know, actually going to site with a hard hat, you know, and going through all of the things that kind of lended me, giving me the tools to do up a house, renovate a house.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. It's like, what brilliant training and preparation.
Yeah, so I've gone from like having these huge budgets to build schools or refurbish schools, and then of course it's very different when you're refurbishing a house that you've bought that's probate, that is a complete state, and you've just had a baby. And I think looking back now, all of these jobs, all of the jobs that I missed, the opportunities I missed to return to theatre or return to creating costumes, any opportunities to work in music, all of that has actually given me the tools over the last 20 years in order to do our house, to make our house our home.
Definitely, yeah, I really see that. Everything that you've just been telling me about, I can just see all of the elements from that in what you share and how you create your, what you share about your life. Like you're saying, like the music, it's so present in everything, in the stories that you tell, and then the performance aspect as well, because, in a way it's like you're controlling the narrative now. Somebody told you were too loud.
You know what, Java? I've still got the program. So if anybody is listening that went to school in Bucks where we wore green jumpers and there were 2 sites, and the play was called Trolls, I still have that, and it says at the bottom, program design and costume, Sophia. And I've still got it, and I feel like I'm welling up slightly. I remember that so vividly, and the girl that got the job, she did an all right job, but when it came to like rehearsing, it was a school hall, and my voice was booming, and I got told I was too loud.
You would have been the perfect candidate.
I would have been perfect, but again, back then it's like,
and that's the thing, is that if you that's going to knock your confidence at such a young age. That maybe if somebody had said, oh, you know what, you would be perfect for this, then you might have carried on and applied to drama school or something, or gone into acting. But you've got to be so careful what we say to children, because that's just like you've carried this all your life and you remember it, and it's still visceral. And
it's very, very powerful. But fast forward 30 odd years from primary school, I'm trying to change that mindset. I'm 43 very soon, and it's understanding what I was told, to unpick those things and to make sure that I don't give that to my children. Like, my childhood is very different from my children's childhood. But I'm very mindful that my experiences or impressions can be put upon my children. Because I'm doing a lot of unlearning at a point where I've just discovered all the things that I was told, whether it was done with malice, whether it was done because it came from a place of love or whatever. You really can be anything that you want to be.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even have to be something that's really kind of spectacular and the whole world knows about it. You can be who you want to be, just for your eyes only. It really did knock my confidence and had me second guessing. I've always been almost like 2 personalities, really, really confident, and then also very quite hard on myself, because I was always told that you had to try your hardest, work the hardest, be the best. I'm not extremely academic, never have been, always seen things in colour and in movement, in shapes. And now I'm leaning more into that. So without a doubt, the things that I did in my past, like the, selling wallpaper, fabric, going down to Chelsea Harbour, Chelsea Design Centre, knowing, seeing the archives of things, all of that has helped me to what I think I'm doing now.
And it's really beautiful because it's bringing all those things and it just feels so real and so you and so unique, because you have, in a way, it's like you've had all this time to hone it so beautifully, and now your home and how you share your home is a product of it, and it's just this beautiful expression of all of the different elements of your life.
Yeah, it's really, the last 2 years has just, or 2.5 years, 2 years, 3 years, like my life has just kind of erupted really beautifully. And also very, I mentioned earlier, there's been a lot of unpacking, unlearning, getting rid of all of those thoughts where people have said certain things and acted in a certain way. Knowing there's beauty in being different has been really tough. It's been really, really tough. And lockdown was very, very, or has been very difficult. But being in a very bright and I would call fun, cozy, relaxed house has helped, and I feel very, very fortunate for that.
Do you feel that by now not working in an institution, working for somebody else, you can kind of control your environment? And
yes, it's really important, and I just think for my own mental health, I really don't want to work for anybody else.
Yeah.
And the only people I want to work for is my family. My end goal is to eventually have something that's ours, mine and Cookie's, and then, for our children. Because, I want my children to value money, not value money, but like appreciate how money gets here and how to earn it. I want them to have a good work ethic, but do I want them to go into an organisation where, people are constantly putting them down, where people poo-poo your ideas and actually take your ideas and pull them off as your own? However, in a boardroom, you get put down. There's a long list of things that I haven't, I'm still letting go of, because these people are staying rent-free in my life, and they're still, they've still been impacting me years after I've left. And it's not worth it. It's not worth it. So I'm gradually dropping them off at each junction, at each chapter I get to in my life. I'm dropping them off, and I'm letting go. So yeah, I want my children to be able to appreciate and value work and how money grows in an account, but also I don't want them to be bombarded with like people putting them in boxes, and that is what something is going to happen. So I think now is a real time for me to almost carve out something for myself whilst building something for my family. Mm-hmm. I don't quite know what that looks like at the moment, but as you know, Cookie, my husband, is very, very creative, and we both are creative together. We both bring a lot to our own table, and we're just at the moment just trying to hash out what that could be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it feels like there's a lot of options for you, because both of you have such an eye for design, both furniture, but also textiles and pattern and colour, and because Cookie's creative as well, isn't he? He's an illustrator.
Yeah, so he's it's a really hard one to describe. Like, he's a designer. Okay. He's a designer. He illustrates. He is one of those people that I know that some people are just born with certain gifts, right? I'm not one of those people. I just have to do things a lot on repetition and keep going. But Cookie, it comes very naturally to him. Painter, illustrator, and it's great, because there's things that I would look at something differently. We'd have a discussion about it, just even from like how we renovated our home. Like I said, I met with all the contractors. I knew some of the language they were speaking. I was on site, and Cookie would say, right, okay, what are we going to do in terms of colours? I said, look, these are the colours I like. These are the colours I don't like. However, I'm entrusting you to just get it right. And if we get it wrong, we're not going to redecorate for another 4 years. We'll just have to grow to love it.
Yeah.
And it was a risk, because at the speed that we were doing it, and of course the involvement of the show.
Yes, because you were on is it George Clarke's Old House, New Home?
Yeah, and the speed of that was happening, and the speed at which we had to make decisions, it was crazy. But thankfully we love the end result.
Interesting that you're talking about like talking to the contractors and having the communication skills and the organisation skills, but you also have a very, very strong aesthetic, and like in the way that you put your clothes together and you pair colours, and it has a really powerful impact visually, and it's kind of exciting because you're always making things and changing things, and it's brilliant, and it's really fun. I think, like you said the word fun earlier, and it's so simple, but it really is so much fun, whilst also very elegant and classic in some ways.
Yeah, I think as well, because I'm able to do, at this moment in time, I'm able to do all the things I was told I couldn't do. And when I'm having fun, the end result is good, right? Something will look good. It will look and feel authentic to us, and anybody else looking in, it will hopefully look and feel genuine and fun to them. So I think we're just experimenting and just enjoying it, just enjoying what we can do together.
With two very small children.
Two very small children. It's I don't know if juggle's the right word, because you never quite let go of your children. It's not like the children are up in midair. But there's lots going on, and amongst all of that, we are coming out of a pandemic. We're not young parents, but that's not it's not a bad thing, but yeah, it's really new to us. Like, a lot of our friends have got older children. I've gone from always working, always being in a position where I am managing other people and managing projects, to now trying to manage a house, look after 2 children, a dog, try and discover what I want to do at the same time. Yeah. There's lots of spinning plates, and there has been a lot of breakage. There has been, and I think we as a family need to look to see what we can do, and also for me personally, what my limitations are.
You talk about yourself as if in a way you're still figuring out what it is that you want to do.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because from the outside, I just think, but you're doing it. You know what I mean? Like, of course, there's more avenues to explore, but I've seeing you feel very whole and incredibly prolific and creative, and it might not be as defined as you possibly want, and of course there's room for growth, but it feels very like you're really in your element and incredibly creative.
The thing is, when at school they tell you that you needed, well, when I was at school, you need to have a plan, you need to go to A levels, you need to do this, you need to do that, regardless of what your capabilities are. And I really struggled. I struggled doing my thesis. I really struggled in terms of writing it, and I thought maybe I might have a learning disability. And this was so what was I, 21, 20, and sorry, I'm getting really slow. I could hear my son going, uh-oh. Completely thrown me. And, we have this timeline, and you need to go to university, you need to do this, you need to do that. And I was on that plan, that kind of, right, I'm going to go to uni, I'm going to get my degree. And everything went up in the air because my mum died.
Yeah.
My mum died, and it just all went, it went all over the place. So that then disappeared. And as the years have gone on, I've realised, certainly in the last 2 years, is that, you know, and I say this a lot, and I heard it from a film, time is luck, right? Time is luck. You don't know what's going to happen. No one is promised tomorrow. As much as that sounds a little bit cheesy, it's absolutely true. Absolutely true. Grief has been a very strong theme in my life. And I believe that I've got to keep moving. I've got to keep doing. I've got to keep moving and doing. So as you said, that on the outside, it looks like I've got everything in order. I'm allowing myself to experiment. And I'm very, very fortunate at this time in my life that I can do that. I can do that because I have got somebody to lean into for the first time. I have got someone to lean into, you know. There is somebody, I'm in a home that is warm. And, you know, I can do those creative things I couldn't do 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So the idea is to try and take all those opportunities and keep them moving. And, you know, people say that saying, you've got to fake it till you make it. There is some truth in that, because no one really knows what they're doing. I'd expect a surgeon to know, a brain surgeon to know what he's doing. I kind of would hope he knows exactly what he's doing at exactly what time, he or she. But otherwise, like this sphere that you and I exist on, this platform, you know, it's just people just throwing things and seeing what sticks. And it's a lot of trial and error. And when you see on certain channels these really big accounts with really, really big followers, and they're getting all these really big campaigns, no one's really scrolling back down to when they were started and they only had one campaign, when they did something that was gifted, when they did, do you know what I mean? Like things do take time, but instead of looking at the end goal, enjoy the little steps that get you there. And that's the mentality I'm trying to have now. So I'm just trying to do as many things as possible. And I'm also trying to put the blinkers on and not look at anybody else. Yeah. That's really, really important, because we are bombarded with so much information at the moment. You should be doing this, you should be doing it like that. And, you know, if you're looking to one side with peers, colleagues that are doing the same thing that you're doing, you know, you can get sidetracked and think that A, you should be doing as much as they're doing. B, you should be doing it perhaps like that because they're doing it and it works for them. We are all so brilliantly unique. And you know, we are all very, very special. We all bring something different, but you know, sometimes we get our emotions in the way, and that essentially holds us back. So yeah. I got really upset there.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Because I just sat there thinking, I'm looking out the window and I'm in the recess of the loft where Cookie painted it yellow. And I think just saying it out loud for the first time, like, I'm actually, that I can do, we've got a camera. I've got the camera that I've always like wanted to take pictures. I also was told that I took really bad pictures. Somebody used one of my pictures in their bloody exhibition. I couldn't bloody believe it.
What?
Yeah, this is again was when I was doing theatre design. Anyway, I'm over it now, but I know their names. That's another thing. I always remember names. I always remember those names, from bullies to people in the workplace. I've kept all your names in a little black book. I'm coming for you. No, but yeah, just yeah. I'm even though there's been some really tough times, being a new mum, the pandemic. I've had really, really, really very sick loved ones, and just things have been hectic, but it's been good because I think I'm finding myself. I think I'm done a complete circle, and I'm now back to the point where I've just got up to the stage and I've just said, I'd like to audition. And then the teacher says, you're too loud. And I turn around and say to her, stick your performance. I'll do my own show. Ta-da!
Brilliant.
Yeah, I'm putting a lot of that to bed now, I think, at the age of 43.
Yeah. It takes a long time, doesn't it? It really, really does, because this information that we, internalize, that is fed to us, and then we find it in other areas of our life, and as in a way to kind of like prove it's like, yeah, well, that's proof that what that person said about me is right, and then, so then, yeah, you kind of create this narrative within yourself, and to be able to then go beyond that and unlearn all of that is huge. It's so huge, and it's so hard, and to be able to just even begin to do it, I think, is such a powerful transition mentally and emotionally. So, and that takes up a lot of energy. So kudos, to you for really knowing just how deep that goes, and moving beyond it, because bloody look at you.
Well, I don't really, as I was saying to you, I think in a previous conversation, you can start getting into your head a bit, and thinking, oh, this isn't good enough. This needs to be done differently. What's somebody else doing? And you want to congratulate the friends that I've made via social media, and who again exist in the same spheres that I do, in terms of work, in terms of like branding, like being your own brand. You want to congratulate them when they are doing well, when they land a great job, when they get something that's amazing. And it's important to recognize if you're not feeling, if you don't want to congratulate them, where's that coming from? Is that coming from a place where you're feeling insecure, that you feel as though you should be working harder to achieve what they've got? Is it a place of jealousy? But whatever it is, you need to check in with yourself first and question why you feel a particular way. And social media can do that to you. And I really had to just take a step back and be like, I'm really happy for this person. I'm really happy that they're doing that. I too could have that. There's always going to be somebody beside you, ahead of you, or somebody just starting off. We're all in different races, our own races. Mm-hmm. And you really do have to run your own race. I know that's another cheesy saying, but it's so true. Yeah, it's so true.
I remember once talking to a friend about, I think I'd just met up with a couple of people that I had met on Instagram, and we met up in person for the first time, and I came away from it feeling really, I don't know if threaten's the word, or intimidated, but I felt insecure. I came away from it feeling insecure and feeling like, oh gosh, they're doing all this and they've got this amazing studio, and I'm working from my bedroom, and just, all these little things were sparking. And I spoke to a friend about it, and she said, you can use this as, you can use this as a way of just refocusing what it is that you want to do and where you want to be going and what your goals and your values and intentions are. And, it doesn't have to be a negative feeling. You can wish them well, exactly like what you were just saying. You can think, okay, I'm happy for them. I don't have to be in exactly that same spot right now, but let's check it. I'm going to check in with myself and think, right, where do I want to be, and just refocus on that. And it's been really useful when those things have crept in, and I've kind of felt like, oh,
everybody feels it, because this, the Instagram's set up to do that. It's a platform where you are basically showboating. There is a level of narcissism that's there. Like, hey, look at me. But it's really important that for me personally, is that whatever you're projecting out there, because remember, there's somebody, doesn't matter how big your audience is, right? There's somebody out there that's looking at you thinking, if they can do it, maybe I can do it. Yeah. And there's some really amazing women that I've met through social media, through Instagram. And they're women that I wish I had seen when I was, obviously it wasn't around when I was in my 20s, 30s, but it's women that I'd seen like growing up. Yeah. Really, really wonderful, creative Black women in particular, because, you know, again, in being in a creative field, for trying to get into a creative field, I was always told that I wasn't good enough. And you've got to understand where that may come from. And yeah, it's been brilliant. It's been really, really brilliant. And I want to continue to celebrate and support them. And I'm hoping that there is a community that would do the same for me as well. But I think to think that somebody's got it all together, you know, let's just pinch ourselves a little bit here. Let's just take it back and realise that this is just a veneer of what you see. I've personally had so much going on that I haven't been able to share because it isn't directly happening to me, and it's directly happening to loved ones. And, you know, their lives aren't out on social media. Like, and, you know, there's sensitive bits that I like to keep for myself, not because I'm not being genuine, just because it's me. Like, it's a part of me. I give bits of myself to a growing community. It doesn't have to be everything. So when people post things, when people show up a section of their house, at the moment there's a bit of a craze when people are like showing Instagram house versus reality, and it's really, really messy. Generally, my house is messy. It's very clean. The bathroom, kitchen are clean, but, you know, there's stuff everywhere. And to run a house of this size and it to be perfect all the time, there's no chance. And I don't want people looking in, and I'm hoping the way that I project myself, I don't want people looking in thinking, how does she cope with 2 kids, a dog, you know, trying to take all these pictures, trying to build the relationship with herself, having a relationship with Cookie. How does she do it? She seems to do it so effortlessly. And I try, and obviously there's no one needs to see dirty knickers on the floor. Everybody's got their own dirty knickers to see, right? They have, so they don't need to see mine. They don't need to see my old socks, hair in the bath, none of that. So there's none of that you see, but it's a working house. It's a living, working, breathing house. It's not a catalogue.
Yeah.
And people have to try and see and get past that.
Yeah.
It's really important. Well, it's important to me that someone's like not thinking, how does she manage? How does she do it? Because some days I don't manage. And on those days, you will generally pick up whether it's my music, whether it's music I'm playing, whether you're seeing my face, whatever it is, because, you know, but then I generally then come back and tell people how I was feeling, what's been going on.
Yeah, I think I'd say that I get a real kind of honesty from everything that you share, and it doesn't feel like oversharing, and like you said, you know, I've never seen any dirty knickers, but you're very human, and very real feels like such a naff word. We're all real, but, you know, it doesn't feel like there's any kind of manicured sheen that you're trying to add to anything. It feels very natural, I think.
It's trying to be natural in a very inhuman environment.
Yeah.
Like, you've got to remember, like, for me, I didn't grow up with a phone in my hand, right?
Yeah.
So I had a little red Nokia. It's the most robust phone out there. I loved it in my little top pocket. It was great, you know. So, and I've always met people face to face. I love meeting people. I love, you know, I did the whole dating thing, dating apps, I put a little ad in the magazine a few times.
Oh yeah.
In my 20s. Yeah, I'm very face to face, and this feels very alien to me. So emojis, hearts, and like whatever, likes. You know, I've started creeping in to feel like, oh my God, they must really like it. Oh, look, I've got this. And actually, I have to, again, pinch myself and say, look, wake up. Like, you need to see the eyeballs of somebody else. Like, you need to, there's only so much talking you can do on a phone or a DM, in inverted commas. Like, you need to see people. That's just who I am. I'm not very comfortable with just endless messages. Yeah. I think there's beauty in both. how it was and how it is now, absolutely phenomenal. Your reach, you can speak to people that you may have never ever come across and see things and share things, all these tips and hacks, and it's brilliant. But at the same time, it can knock you off your path, because you start wondering and thinking, I should be doing things differently.
Yeah, it's interesting what you're saying about, after a certain point of messaging and all of this, you've got to see someone in person or just face to face. And I think possibly that is part of what makes you such a strong communicator, because I'm always very pulled in by just watching you washing your dishes, things like that. There's something really just so engaging about how you communicate, and I think that's it. And it's interesting what you were talking about earlier in previous jobs, where bosses have seen that in you, that you're really good at communicating with people, and it makes sense that you say that about how you need that connection in person, because that really comes across, and that travels through your videos, and even just the stuff that you write. There's just something really engaging and clear in the way you communicate. So no, that makes a lot of sense about how that from your past, that's now again feeding into the stories that you're telling.
I think it was one of the things when I met Cookie. So I met him on a dating app, and we started, we exchanged numbers, and I started texting, and he said it to me quite after, I think we must have been when we got married. He's like, do you know what? You were constantly texting me. He said, I couldn't keep up. I said, I'm good at stuff like that. And he said, I'm so glad that you asked me to meet you the next day. I said, there is no point, absolutely no point, especially if you're out on this dating pond, on an app, what have you. There is no point in having this relationship over and over again. Obviously, be safe when you're out there meeting people. Take your time, make sure you've got enough information, meet in a safe space. But these endless text messages and endless calls, for months and months, and you haven't met them. You're investing time, you're investing feelings, emotions, because what happens is your brain starts thinking, oh my God, this and that can happen. Meet them straight away. And that applies to people online. People online, the DMs, you can't meet all followers or all the people you commit. If you've got a genuine connection, one day you and I are going to meet. Yeah. We've spoken and what have you, and I would love to meet you in person. But just jump in. Yeah. But be safe, guys. Be safe. Don't say Sophia said. Just be safe. We're all adults.
Same. I feel like there's only so far you can go with listening and watching things online. The human connection, and I guess that's something, another of the many things that's come out of the last couple of years, is how much we've needed each other and missed each other.
It's massively important, and we've all been influencing each other way before 11 years ago, right? This is just another way of existing, but it's brilliant. I love it. I genuinely love it. But also there is something magical about meeting people for the first time. Yeah. And remaining in contact. I've met some really, really lovely women, and where some of my existing relationships have dissolved over the years, because sometimes that happens, years of friendships, but these women have been amazing, but to actually meet them and maintain relationships, not just in DMs, not just in a comment, is terrific. It really is, and they've really made a difference to my life. You know who you are, ladies. You know who you are. Yeah, I don't really know. I still don't really know what I want to be when I get older. I don't. I really don't. And there is this thing this push and pull thing that I have where I'm like, oh my God, I should know. And I do it. I definitely do it. I definitely look at somebody else thinking, oh my God, they're doing this. Oh my God, I'm not doing enough. I should be doing this. I have those moments. And I also have those moments where I think you're doing really well, you're smashing it. And because of the, I'm going to say trauma, because of some of the traumatic experiences I've had in my career, in my personal life, over the last, throughout my life, has brought me to where I am today. So I always have not a split personality, but my feelings are in two camps. I'm really, really confident, and then I can be very insecure about things. I think people need to hear it. I think people need to be honest with themselves. There are people out there that don't have this, but there is, I feel sometimes that I don't always have it together. And then I think that I've got a goal and I just need to stick to it, and I just need to take these little baby steps. But I sometimes get frustrated with myself. I've always had a very hard work ethic and feel like I need to be doing more, when actually I do as much as I need to do on that day.
Thank you for sharing all this with me, Sophia.
I don't even know if it was what you wanted me to talk about, but
no, I just wanted to hear your thoughts and your story, and it's really moving, and I think, hearing as well how hard you say that you've been on yourself, and thinking that you need to always do more, and and the success in kind of how we're taught success is, that it's, and also because of the realities of life, and you've got to keep on pushing yourself, but to know now that you're now in a position where you have the space to breathe and experiment, and you have the support of Cookie, and you have your drawing on all of the creative parts of you and all of your experience in life, and unlearning the frankly idiotic stuff that people have told you about, your photography or your artwork or your designs,
my writing. I shouldn't write as well.
Oh, it's crying out loud!
I cannot, and I've just forgotten his name. Jerry's no longer with us. Jerry was my English A-level English literature, and he said that I shouldn't write. Yeah, so I have that, and it is a luxury. I'm very, very privileged to have what I have, but
it's not been easy getting here, though.
It's not been easy, and it's not easy in a sense that I flip-flop between the two, like I was saying, really super confident, then really insecure about things.
Of course, because in a way it's like, you know your worth, you know your value, and you it's like this. I can totally understand where there are these two, because there's the one which is the voices that have been telling you, no, you can't do that, no, you can't do that. But then to move through the world and function, you kind of have to develop a confidence to kind of go, fuck you, I've got to still exist and live in this world and do the things that I want to do. But then there's still those voices that kind of echoing, reminding you. So I can see how you compartmentalize those different aspects just to carry on functioning and carry on trying to have a life.
Yeah, well, there's an added responsibility now because of the children as well. To be able to teach my children that they can do what they want to do and don't listen to those naysayers. Yeah. And I also have a responsibility for myself, because it's, I'm halfway through my life, supposedly. And I don't have regrets. Oh, I regret a couple of things. But then when I say that, I'm thinking about renovation choices. We were talking about this. But we're always going to regret like bad partners, aren't we? But like more renovation. But they can, I've got responsibility to myself to start living. Yeah. and showing my children this is what, you know, children lead from example, right? So learn from example. So, you know, there's lots of plates to be spinning, but ultimately it has to start with you. And once you're happy, once you're comfortable, then you project that. And I don't want to be carrying what I've been carrying for the last 20 odd years. I want it to be nice, because life is difficult, but if you're in a good place, and if you're surrounded by good people, then it makes any blow a bit softer. And that's purposely why the house is bright, the house is relaxed. I'm leaning more into wearing bright, fun clothing. You know, there are minutes where I'm just like, am I getting too old? And then by the time I put it on, I'm like, forget it. No, I'm not too old for it. I still look quite cute, so I'm going to wear it. But all of those is, armour is the wrong word, right? But it's almost like, it's my, I don't know, it's a part of, it's now becoming part of me. It's not just a brand purpose, its purpose to project out into the world. What you see is genuinely an evolution as such, because my Instagram account, I've had it since Instagram started. I think I got it the week after it started. So it's about 11 years. And if you scroll back further enough, you'll see it's a very, very different life. And should I archive some of those pictures? Probably. Am I going to? No, because that point in my life has got me to where I am today. And if I showed you all the brilliant stuff and how it was, you'd somebody sitting back and watching, because I've been that person looking at somebody saying, oh my God, how they managed it? How they done that? Because they probably archived their photographs where they looked complete like nutters, wearing something that's inappropriate or saying something inappropriate. You can't hide online as well.
Yeah. So
anything you've ever said or done will eventually come out.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So why not let it all hang out? Then no one's got anything over your head. So yeah, scroll back further enough and you'll see. But it's all, you know, it's nothing drastic, but it's a journey. And so you'll see that, like, I was very much into black. I wore black a lot, because I was just hiding. And now I'm just like, wow, I'm wearing more colour. And yeah, who knows what the next chapter's going to be.
And your Sunday best photos. Oh my God. I mean, that's possibly one of the best things on the internet, surely.
It's really funny because, you know, I loved clothing, right? I love clothes. And Cookie we have a separate room. We have a room that no one gets to see because it's turned into a dumping ground, but it's essentially his walk-in wardrobe. It's a smaller room. You can fit a double bed in it, but he's built. Some of the first things he built was shelves in there, but I never take pictures of it because it's just clothes and it's really boring. But yeah, he has lots of clothes, and we're like fudging around, and the kids were sleeping. They were taking their naps at that point. And I know there's lots of other things we could be doing, but you know, why don't we dress up? Like, why don't we just pretend that like we're going out somewhere, because we can't go anywhere. The kids are really young. We're in a pandemic, and let's just throw some clothes on and we'll take some very, somebody compared it to Wes Anderson type pictures.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I think this Sunday is actually a year since we started doing it. So the whole reason was just to do it. So we were like, whilst the kids are napping. And by doing that, Simon, I guess, knows how to take a picture, maybe photographer, I don't know. But he at these points, at this time, he would show me how to set the camera up. We'd talk about lighting. We'd talk about aperture, which I still don't really understand. But we'd have that like half an hour and we'd be like, right, okay, we're going to do Sunday best, get the clothes on, talk to the camera. I'd position the camera and he'd be like, perhaps have it here. Oh, I like that angle. So we'd have this little Sunday thing where we would communicate and talk about being creative together and take a picture. And that's how that came about.
It's gorgeous because it's like a reimagining of like Victorian photos,
Yes.
where they're quite
Yes.
kind of poised and still and just looking straight to the camera, but
Yes.
an explosion of colour and style and just gorgeousness. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw this. It was probably in the same week that I started. I saw like the hidden Black Victorian. So it's like Black Victorian women, and these pictures that I'd never even seen before. Like I'd never like they'd never. There was no book or anything, and then I started delving into it, and then I had a picture of an aunt or something on Sunday with going to church with my uncle, and that's where it triggered it. And I was like, oh, we could do this.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like I've always wanted to see more of me out there. I've always wanted to see a family like our family out there. And if you want to see it, then you have to be it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's a bit of fun. I definitely want more people to get involved. I don't know whether I'm thinking about changing the format. I'm thinking about doing more videos. Like I do lots of filming of the children, and I only put a snippet online because I'm basically trying to build a catalogue for them. I've set them up email accounts as well. So I send them the pictures like your first tantrum, so that
lovely.
when they get older they can log in and hopefully they'll all still exist.
That's gorgeous.
But yeah, Sunday best. I definitely want to get Cookie in front of a camera talking because he's very good at it. And more of his DIY. I can't stand the process, I'm not going to lie. I freaking hate sawdust.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd like him to design something. I'd like us to have something solid and maybe put out in the universe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I see it coming, definitely.
Yay.
It's really exciting. So exciting. Oh, honestly, thank you so much for giving up your time and just talking to me. I've enjoyed this so much. Thank you.
Well, I hope that it could touch like somebody in the same position.
It's really interesting talking to you and hearing some of the themes that you talked about, specifically as a Black woman. I think of themes that have come up with other conversations with other guests on the podcast who are also Black women, and hearing what you're talking about, feeling that you have to work really, really hard and experiencing a lot of knockback within the creative fields as well, and being told or just that you're not right or you don't fit, or what it is that you want to create, that you have to offer isn't valuable. And I've heard this several times.
It's damaging.
Yeah.
It's been very, very damaging. And I am very happy where I am today, without a doubt, like with the love of my life and the loves of my life. So, any change in direction may have not brought me to where I am. So categorically very, very happy. But it's damaging because it's left an imprint which I've been trying to erase for a while now. And what the most upsetting thing is that when working in these particular arenas, sectors, whatever, and being told that you're not good enough as a Black woman, like no one's saying, oh, you're not good enough because you're Black, but you read the room. You know exactly what these micro, very small slits and what they're trying to say to you is when you have an idea and you're shot down and then it's reinvented. Well, reinvented, they've literally just changed the cover and put their name on it. Certain individuals, again, I know your names, but we won't mention that, and pulls it off of their own. And that happened, that was frequent in every single job I've been in within London. And you've got to understand the place of where that person, that organisation was coming from when they're directing it to you. It's very real. and it's been very painful, but yet also it's been cathartic to hear other Black women, not just in the creative environment arena, that things like this happen to them. And yeah, there's a lots of, as you know, I don't really, I'm trying to build something online and offline as well. And, the last 2 years, maybe certain brands thought it was quite desirable to have Black women in their adverts. And you need to be very, very wary of what brands' intentions are.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's another layer of complexity. That's another thing to think about. But you know what? I'm just leaning into finding my spot of brightness and doing what I want to do and being more in control of what I want to do. And I can do that now. I couldn't do it 20 years ago when I had to take that job to live in London. Otherwise, if it went bang, where was I going to go? So, but yeah, I'm feeling a lot lighter in my bright corner. The sun's out. My the walls are beaming yellow, and I'm sitting in a multicolored jumper with no trousers on. So it's great.
And what a perfect note to end on.
I'm in my pants and my stripy socks. I'm living my best life.
You can find Sophia's joyful and vibrant style on Instagram at Sophia R. Cook. Please refer to the show notes for links. Thank you so much for listening to On the Irregular. Please make sure you review and subscribe as it helps other listeners find us. It truly does make such a difference.